We are about to start part two of our medicine cabinet tags and scenes tutorial. In the first part, I showed you how to create new tags. So I created all of my tags, assembly, dimensions, and exploded. And I showed you that with the power of tags, you can toggle on and off different components. And what I also showed you is that you can also create what's called scenes that will kind of snap your screen to a pre-established or preset screenshot. Okay, so for example, if I want to see my exploded scene, I just need to click on the exploded scene button, and I showed you how to create that. Let's now go ahead and let's create our dimensions tag, which we already created the tag, but we haven't actually assigned anything to it. And we'll create some dimension scenes here as well. Now, to create my dimensions, I am actually going to copy my exploded tag, what's in my exploded tag, and copy it over to my dimensions. So here's what I mean by that. Okay, let's just zoom out a little bit. I'm going to hit spacebar to choose my selection tool, and I'm going to select everything here. And let's just kind of pan across. And what I'll do now is use my move tool, M, okay, click. Oh, and I didn't create a copy, so press Alt Option on your Mac or Control on your PC and Chromebook. Okay, so it creates a copy, and let's make sure that we're doing it straight across. Okay, and let's type in how much we want to move this over. So I'm going to move it over. I'm going to actually go a little bit more. I'm going to go 15 feet. And just use my hand tool to pan across. Okay, and now you can see that when I select this here, it's actually on my exploded tag, and I don't want it to be part of my exploded tag. I want it to be on my dimensions tag. So I'm going to click on my current tag here, and I'm going to change that to dimensions. Okay, so now I can toggle off my exploded view so that all I see, or my exploded tag, so that all I see is my dimensions. Oops. Okay, so you can see I have all three here, but I'm going to turn off exploded and I'm going to turn off assembly. And what I'm going to do now is actually just, I'm just going to create a temporary scene that I can keep referencing. I'm going to create a scene right now of just what I have here. Okay, actually, maybe I'll wait until I dimension everything. Let's wait until I do that. Okay, so before I even create a scene, I'm just going to go through and I'm going to dimension everything I see here, except for my crown molding. And so what I'm going to focus on dimensioning is the length and the width of all of my components. Okay, so let's zoom in and let's start doing this. I'll show you the dimension tool. It's here, the third button from the bottom. By default, I think you'll see the tape measure. Make sure you switch to dimensions. And so what I want you to do is go through, and actually, sorry, before you hit dimensions, I want you, this is key, you have to double click into your component, okay? Double click into the component you want to dimension, then press dimension. And let's start with the length, okay? And then we'll do the width, sorry, the height. Okay, and notice how it's also dimensioning on this side because this component was the same as the component here. I just copied and pasted it there. And so you can see that it's automatically putting dimensions on this side as well, which is fine. Okay, so we're done dimensioning this. Press spacebar. And now let's dimension, let's get out of that, and let's dimension this part here. Okay. So again, hit your dimension button, dimension that, and dimension this line. Okay, perfect. So the length and the width there, or I guess you can think of it as the height and the width. Okay, we're dimensioning that. Okay, now let's get out of there. Just press spacebar and get out. Double click in the empty space to get out of your component. And now let's do the mirror. Okay, so let's zoom into the mirror and right about there. Okay, double click into your component, dimension. So this is going to take some time. You can see like this is going to be kind of a tedious thing. And we're going to dimension this corner to this corner as well. So this is going to be kind of a tedious thing for you, but you want to go into each component and dimension. Now don't worry about the thickness. Don't worry about the thickness here. Okay, let's just try to dimension the length, like the length and the width here, or the length and the height. Let's not worry about the thickness. Okay. Although you could, but let's just try to simplify this. Okay, so now let's switch back to my selection tool because I'm still in my dimension tool. So spacebar, double click the empty space. Now let's do the back panel. Okay, so double click into the component, dimension, corner to corner, click, and then this corner to this corner. Click. Didn't want to do that. Let's zoom out a little bit. Right about there. Okay, so there you have it. I've got all of those, and I'll do one more for you, and then I'll stop. I'm not going to dimension everything. You get the idea. So spacebar, double click empty space. Let's do one of these side pieces. This one here. Double click and dimension. Now this part's a little bit more complicated. Okay. You can see we have that slot on this one here. Okay. Just using my orbiting and hand tool there. And let's dimension. So I'm going to take the dimension on this side. Let's do this side because it has this feature on this side. So I'm going to dimension from here to here, 5 inches. Okay. And let's get a better view of that. And then I'm also going to dimension, again, press dimension. From here to here, it's longer, right? It's actually 5.5 inches. So I'm going to dimension that as well. And I'm going to dimension this thickness inside here as well. Oh, and let's not forget. So make sure you press dimension. Let's do the height, just simple enough. And then let's show this thickness right there. So let's zoom into this corner. Press dimension. It's 1/2 inch as well there. Okay. Okay, so I'll stop at that in terms of dimensioning. But now what I'm going to show you is how you're going to create your scenes. Notice I have not created any scenes yet. Okay. So I'm going to orbit back around. And I'm going to actually create a scene right now. Okay, so I didn't dimension everything. Okay, now don't dimension twice. Like you'll notice that because you double click in the components, notice how it also dimensioned this piece as well because I dimensioned this. So that's nice. I don't have to repeat it there. Okay. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to create a scene right here of this, what you have right here. Okay, I want you to create a scene. So put this in the middle of your screen, press plus, give it a sec, and let's call this dimension. Let's call it, so this is, you're going to do this when you're done dimensioning everything. Overall dimensions scene. Okay, showing all of the dimensions. But what I want you to also do is create working drawings. meaning you're going to create a scene for each individual component. I know that seems like a lot, but you don't have to do the ones where they're repeated. So I only have to make one here. I don't have to do two. I only have to make that one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 9. Don't have to do the crown molding. Okay, don't do the crown molding. Don't worry about it because it's like complicated, the dimensioning for it. So, but you're going to create like 9 individual scenes. I'm going to show you how to do that. So you're going to click, you're going to snap to this scene here. I want us to snap to this scene. And then I want you to orbit. Watch this. I only want to show one component and then create a scene for that one component. So watch how I'm going to do this. This is going to be tedious and it's going to take time, okay? Just be patient. Select everything, including your dimensions. Okay, all right. And now hold Shift on your keyboard and select the part that you want to be creating a scene for. So in my case, I'm going to do a scene for this right here. Okay. Then what I'm going to do, now pay close attention, right click on one of the blue parts, like anywhere in the blue parts. So right click and click on hide. So it's going to hide everything besides what you selected. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is create a scene for this, and I want it to be like a 2D. I want it to be like a front view. Here's your front view right here. This is your front view button. So watch, when I press this, it goes right to my front view. Perfect. And now I'm just going to zoom in so it like takes up most of my page. Okay. Right about there. And you can see it shows the 3 inches and it shows how tall that piece is. And so now what you're going to do is press plus. And make sure you call it something appropriate. So this is part of the door frame. So I'm going to call it door frame right/left component. Press enter. There you go. So now, if I'm building this, I want to see the individual parts and their dimensions. Although you'll have all the dimensions here, it could just get really messy. What I want you to do is create a scene for each component. Okay, so you're going to create all your dimensions here. Okay, you're going to create all your dimensions here. Then you're going to do exactly what I just did in terms of hiding everything besides the component you want to highlight, okay, or show as part of a new scene. Let's do it again. Let's do this top part of the frame. So what you do, you're here, right? This is where you just left off. Click back on the overall dimension scene. This is why we created this. Okay, now press spacebar, select everything again. Okay, hold Shift, and then click on the part that you want to show. This one. Okay. And right click any one of these blue pieces and go to hide. Switch back to your front view, zoom in, and just put it so that it's nice front and center on your screen. And now you're ready to create another scene. Press plus. Door frame bottom / top component. Beautiful. Okay, now go back to your overall dimension scene. Okay, now let's pick another part. Let's do the mirror. So press spacebar, select everything, hold Shift, click on the component you want to show. In our case, it's the mirror right there. Click. Okay, so it deselects it. And then right click on one of the blue parts, hide. Show your front view again. Zoom in. Okay, and create a new scene. Plus. Mirror component. Okay, good. Now, click back on overall dimensions. So we go back to this. I'm going to now just do one more scene of this part right here because the reason why I'm choosing this part is because all of these parts were front view parts, right? Because the front view shows the length and the width. But the front view is not going to show the length or the width of this part. So I want to do this one, okay? So let's press spacebar, select all, hold shift, click, and hide the rest. Now, the front view, watch when I click front view, that's not the view that I want, right? That doesn't show me the length and the width. So let's find the right view. Let's like switch to, what is this one? I'd say this one is pretty good. So that one right there shows me the difference between this 5" and 5.5". It shows me the height. It doesn't show me the 1/2" really, but that's okay. Like, I'm not going to worry about that. The other thing you can do is you can kind of orbit around and do something like this. I'm open to that. Okay, and put that on your screen just so you can see that 1/2" thickness there, right? Just orbit around a little bit. I'm good with that. Okay, let's add a scene. I'm happy with that. Plus, and let's call that is actually my shelf frame. Shelf frame, oops. Left/right component. Okay, press enter. There you go. You are going to continue this, I guess, 6 more times because you have 6 more components to do. You're going to continue this, and you are going to have a scene for each individual component as well as the overall dimensions. Okay, and this entire time, we're in the dimensions tag. Okay, so follow my steps step by step. And when you're done, and you're done this project, this tutorial, I should see an assembly tag, dimensions tag, and exploded tag. And I should be able to toggle them off and on. Okay. And I should see an assembly scene, an exploded scene, an overall dimension scene, and then each individual component with dimensions. So I want a scene for all of those as well. And then you'll be done the medicine cabinet, and you'll have drawn an assembly view, an exploded view, and dimensions of each individual component with scenes that you can zoom right into, right? Like, let's say you're building this, you could be like, okay, how big does my door frame, that right component of my door frame need to be? And you can click on that, be like, oh, there it is. Okay, it's 2 and 5 1/4 by 3 inches. Okay, so really, really cool stuff there. Really cool stuff. I mean, it's really detailed there. It's kind of tedious, but it's cool when you're all done. All right, so that's the end of part 2.